of February 1996 at approximately 6:11 p.m., NJ Transit engineer John D. Curtis officially began his night shift, which would last a little over 12 hours, including a 5-hour break in between. This was a usual shift that this engineer worked by choice since 1992, and with him was assigned conductor Stephen Miller and an unnamed assistant conductor. For most of the first 7 hours of the night shift, Curtis mainly operated Bergen County line trains between Hoboken Terminal and Waldwick Station to adhere to the rush hour timetable and the later off-peak runs into the night. However, as Curtis and Miller went around their shifts, signal issues that would persist into early hours of February 9 developed on the Port Jervis line. Nonetheless, Curtis operated the last evenly train normally and without incident, as he departed Hoboken Terminal at 11:50 p.m. and arrived at station around 12:49 a.m. on the 9th. Curtis and his crew signed off duty for what was supposed to be their 5-hour break at 12:58 a.m. Although it was later noted by Miller that for the first 15 minutes after signing off, Curtis and Miller secured the train and then walked to the first car to rest and sleep for the majority of the given break time. An alarm clock was set by the crew members so they would wake up at 5:30 a.m. to operate a return trip to Hoboken before signing off for the day. At 5:44 a.m., Curtis and Miller officially signed back in. The crew then spent around 30 minutes before necessary break and startup tests and procedures before departing Suffolk Station at 6:12 a.m. with a Bergen County line semi-local to Hoboken. The ship went uneventfully and the crew arrived back Hoboken just after 7:13 a.m. when the trainmaster requested Curtis and Miller operate train 1254 as the original crew was delayed due to the previous night signal issues on the Port Jervis line. Curtis and Miller accepted the assignment, and the trainmaster later reported that they did not look fatigued. Curtis, Miller, and an unnamed assistant conductor took command of a consist that consists of one Comet 2 cab car, numbered 5146, 4 trailer Comet 1 cars, and a GP40 PH-2 4110. The crew then ran non-revenue until reaching Waldock, and returning around, we switched on track 2 to become train 1254. Train 1254 departed Waldwick at 8:03 a.m., about 5 minutes later than 7:58 a.m. departure time. The train was in the Perch configuration with GP40 PH-2 4110 pushing while Comet 2 cab car 5146 now led the parade. Following departure for Waldwick, Miller reminded the engineer saying, "We'll make all the stops except Glenrock." Miller and the assistant conductor then spent the majority of the trip collecting tickets and chatting with passengers. Miller later recalled that this was likely his last direct conversation with the engineer. Coming the other way, train 1107, which was heading for Suffern, had departed Hoboken Terminal at just 8:31 a.m., about 1 minute late. Train 1107 was operated by engineer Alfonso de Banes, an unnamed conductor and assistant conductor. This train was operating pull mode at the time of the accident, with GP40 PH-2A 4148 leading the train of 5 Comet 1 trailer cars and 1 Comet 1 cab car, numbered 5120. At the time of the collision, the train held 125 passengers and 2 dead-ending NJT employees who were traveling to Suffern so they could operate another train that originated there. Both trains were running a push-pull configuration. Train 1254 had left Harmon Cove Station at 8:33 a.m. with 275 passengers accelerated to 53 miles per hour. Meanwhile, train 1107 departed Hoboken at 8:31 a.m. with 125 passengers aboard. Train 1254 soon passed the meeting approach position light signal, telling the train to slow down to 34 miles per hour, according to the black box data. The next signal would show the engineer a stop indication at Secaucus Junction to wait for train 1107 to pass before train 1254 would be allowed to continue to Hoboken. Train 1254 continued to slow until 71 feet before the stop signal. The engineer then accelerated the train 20 miles per hour after passing the red signal. Shortly afterward, the engineer likely noticed a misaligned switch or started train 1107 and the emergency brakes were activated. Several months earlier, train 1107 had been shown a clear signal and was approaching the western end of Secaucus Junction at 53 miles per hour. The track speed for that section was 70 miles per hour, though. Train 1254 was moving at 18 miles per hour when the collision occurred. Cab car 5146 was ripped open in the collision, killing the engineer John J. DeCurtis and a passenger aboard train 1254, Arthur David Stern. Locomotive 4148's roof collapsed in on the cab on impact, thereby killing engineer Alfonso de Banes instantly. In addition, 162 passengers were injured. The conductor of train 1254 was able to evacuate all train passengers with the assistant conductor's help. The conductor aboard train 1107 was reported to be visually upset, repeatedly crying that people were dead, which also worried many passengers. The two deadheading NJ Transit employees helped evacuate the train instead. After the evacuation, the remaining crew members stood to watch to flag down any oncoming trains. Both crews aboard both trains did not use public address systems to communicate with passengers. Instead, they went from car to car, yelling for passengers to exit the train. The assistant conductor aboard train 1254 later reported that he did not know if the public address system was working or not, so he did not use it. The conductor aboard train 1107 could not recall if the system worked or not. Throughout the evacuation process, both train crews communicated by handheld radio. The accident was first reported by the engineer of the eastbound NJ Transit train 1400 on the main line a little after 8:40 a.m. The accident was in New York City's area's worst train accident since the 1958 Newark Big Rail accident. Following the accident, Comment 2 cab car 5146 was scrapped, while GP40PH-2 4110 and Comment 1 cab car 5120 continued in revenue service until their eventual retirement, and in the case of Comment 1 cab car 5120, a donation to the Whippany Railroad Museum in New Jersey. 1 year later, in 1997, GP40PH-2A 4148 was rebuilt and put back into service at GP40PH-2B 4219 following the rebuild. The total damage from the accident was estimated to be $3.3 million by NJ Transit.